your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Freddie, Wrestling with Friends. The great Jeff Dye is back. Welcome to Wrestling with Friends. Mr. Jeff Dye,
What's
welcome
up, my
back,
dude?
sir. How are you?
Feeling good. I'm living in Atlanta right now. That's why I'm wearing this hat. And yeah, I'm happy to be back on. Sorry I missed you guys last week.
You're like Jumpin' Joe from that movie The Natural, who would just play for every team. It had like every hat. That's you. You're Jumpin' Joe. Jumpin' Jeff.
I'm Gaylord Perry, dude. I just go to whatever team.
Whoever's got
gives me
the
a hat.
check, baby.
What's nearest? I'll play for them. I love it.
How's Atlanta treating you? How's the job treating you, sir?
It's been good. It's super, super fun. It's super easy. I've had zero bad experiences since I've been in Atlanta. The people are nice. The city is great. The food is great. It's clean. I'm also not used to a town where there's a lot of good mornings and how are yous from strangers.
And you love
that. Very,
that.
very nice feeling. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, you love that more than anyone.
For that reason.
Sarah shot her show out there, the werewolf show, Wolfpack, and she fell in love with the city. She fell in love with the people. She made friends out there that she's still friends with today that were just people that lived there. Like she said the same thing. Everyone said, good morning. And no one does that. I go, yeah, you're from New York. That's why no one ever does that.
I know. It's
punch
the
you in your
total
face.
opposite of New York. Yeah.
It
I say hi to
really
people in
is.
New York on the street. I'm like, hey, good morning. He's like, what's your problem? I'm like, I don't know. I said, good morning. I didn't know that was a problem. He's like, do I know you? It's like, no, I don't know you. I don't know.
You got to go to Brooklyn.
What's everyone mad about?
They're more chill in Brooklyn, and they walk dogs, and they're like, do you want to pet my dog? And they drink coffee with brown sugar.
I like that.
They're way nicer. I did a movie there, and in New York, it was crazy. The streets were like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It was still during the pandemic. Sure. Like every 4 out of every 5 like spaces in the buildings were abandoned. And I'm staying in this apartment where this homeless dude would sleep outside every day. And one night, this was almost the last night I stayed there, he just looked dead. And I stepped over him as you do, and went inside and said, hey man, I think that guy is dead. You need to call the cops. And he goes, man, he sleeps out there every night. I'm like, all right, dude, it's cold. All right. I'm telling you, we were shooting this in like October. So I go up to my little crappy apartment and go to bed, and come out the next morning. There's police there. My driver, who's like further down, and I'm like, oh crap. And I don't see the guy, and I don't know that if they ran him off or what. And I go to get in my car, and my poor driver, she was this nice Puerto Rican lady. She's crying. And I go, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she goes,
no.
The man was dead. The man that you stepped over was dead. And I was like, oh my God, Manhattan sucks so bad. And I called the producer. I was like,
yeah, it is terrible.
Oh, and I had already gotten in a fight. Well, it was not a fight. It was a one-punch fight. The guy was acting crazy, and that was not my fault. And then I did like the high school thing where I walked backwards around the block to go to my apartment instead of right to the apartment, because that'll shake the cops. But that was my escape route, was just going backwards around the block. But I was like, look, I got to get out of here.
That's how crazy it's gotten.
It is. I was like, this is crazy. You got to. And he goes, okay, we're going to get you. We were shooting in Brooklyn anyway. He goes, I'm going to get you in a hotel in Brooklyn. It's nice there. I go, are you sure, dude? I go, this is crazy out here. I just want to stay at like a friend's house. And he's like, no. It's too far away. We're going to send you to Brooklyn. They send me to this little hotel in Brooklyn. The very first morning, I'm like, all right, I'm venturing out. I got to get groceries for the little mini fridge, because I don't like spending $8 on a water when I can spend $7. Right. And so I go outside, and the first person I see has a dog, and he says, good morning. And I went, what? And he goes, good morning. I went, hey, good morning, bro. And he just walked by. I was like, yo, all right. And then like the next person I saw with a dog legit was like, do you want to pet my dog? I was like, yeah, I miss my dogs. I haven't seen him in a month. And so I'll pet the dog. Have a nice day too. Okay. I loved it, dude. It was a beautiful, beautiful city. In Manhattan, you still kind of suck. So deal with that. But Atlanta, Georgia is great. Home of Cody Rhodes, Cody, the American Nightmare.
I haven't had to step over any dead bodies since I've got here. It's been quite the treat.
And when you set the bar that low, you're never going to be disappointed, Jeff.
I love it here. I'm going to bring it. I am that guy, though, that says good morning to everyone everywhere. So it's kind of tricky. But
you are that guy.
Home.
And you like the energy to be returned, too. So you guys make sure you say good morning to Jeff
nice.
when you see him in the streets. He appreciates it. Well, welcome back, sir. I missed you. That's why I spent all this time talking with you before we spoke any wrestling. But we got a lot to talk about, sir. Monday Night Raw had some pretty friggin' sweet moments, even if they weren't matches, but pretty sweet moments. Cody Rhodes opened the show, and he gets interrupted by the Judgment Day, and none of the energy, none of the hate has faded for the relationship between Dominic and the WWE Universe. They hate him as much today as they did the first time I heard them they didn't allow him to finish a promo, basically. Just booed him out the damn building. And they're still matching that energy every single day.
It's great.
It's hard to even remember what anybody else says because I'm just waiting for Dominic to try and speak and just let him get shut down and let Rhea Ripley go, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't let them hurt you, baby. Don't worry. And she just like pats him like a little dog. But we did get the first hour free, and I want to talk about free as in no commercials. And I want to talk about that too. But how'd you like the segment? I know it's kind of repetitive because Cody's having to almost do the John Cena thing where, but I feel like they're doing a good enough job mixing it up and mixing up Cody's opponents that it doesn't feel like John Cena, Randy Orton for 2 years straight.
Yeah. This is a repetitive that doesn't bother me. Like this, I like this kind of repetitive. It doesn't, wrestling's always guilty of repetitive, how many bloodline stories, there's a lot of repetitiveness, but this doesn't feel too repetitive and I like it. And besides LA Knight, nobody's had a more meteoric rise than Dom. Like those two right now. It's insane. And I'm loving every second of it. Also, and they must be building to Dom versus Rey Mysterio at some point,
They had their blow-off match.
It's a smart build.
They had their blow-off, so they can do it again, but they had their match against one another where Ray spanked his butt. So they'll go back and do it again. I don't think that'll be done. But remember, that one ended because then Ray was like, yo, I'm out. I'm leaving Raw. And then he went to SmackDown so they could keep them separate. So I think until they're back on the same show, there could be. There could be
a reconnection. There could be a different fallout of something. So I just think they're building to something with his dad.
They will. They will again.
I don't know how long the build is or what.
They will again, but right now Ray's in a separate story because he's in that LWO storyline, and Dominic is with Raw right now, so he's Raw storylines. But they're not going to just end it like that, especially if Dominic keeps getting more popular, if that's even a possibility.
Or maybe Rey Mysterio can get the LWO so over and so big that we have a collision between those two factions.
Let's get to SmackDown in a minute because I want to talk about that storyline. I got a lot of questions as to where it's going, but the first hour of Raw was commercial free, and I believe they've done this before. I know they push commercial breaks all the time, but I would have thought they would have waited until Monday Night Football officially started before doing something like, hey, no commercials first hour. That way they don't lose anybody in the ratings because a lot of times that's why they push commercials, because they lose a good number of people when they cut to one, even though it's a live show. And when Monday Night Football comes on, Monday Night Raw ratings drop. They went commercial free. They're not the first show to do this. A lot of times hour-long dramas in the late 90s would do like the first half hour free. 24 did that a lot. Like, this episode's brought to you by Ford and no one else. Period. And it was like, there you go. Now you don't have to have commercials because Ford paid a lot of money to be on that show. And all the vehicles were Fords and everybody's driving, a Ford Explorer, strongest truck in the world, and making them look awesome. So they're not the first ones to do it, but I thought they would have waited until Monday Night Football before doing this. But I'll tell you this. I'll take an hour of straight wrestling with no commercials, even though the picture-in-picture has made it much more bearable. But I'll take a free hour, as I like to call it, any single day of the week. So anytime y'all want to do this, is 100% fine with me. I will say this, it was not a USA Network idea. It was, I'm sure, pitched to the USA Network and then had to go through the bureaucracy that exists at every studio. And then finally the right person says yes. And you could have just talked to them in the first place. It would have saved everyone a lot of friggin' time, but it doesn't work that way.
Tweet at us or comment below or let us know. Is there anyone out there that likes the commercials? Like it gives you a chance to go grab some food or grab a beer or check your phone. Like I kind of, I use the commercial time as, oh, I'll check my Instagram again, or I'll write a tweet, or I'll go into the kitchen and grab a glass of water. Or whatever. Is there anyone that likes it at all? Like, I don't know what the,
do you wait?
I can't pause my TV.
Do you wait for the commercial or do you wait for a match that you don't give a shit about? Which one? Where do you go and get your snacks?
Yeah, sometimes, but there's not a lot of matches that I don't care about, if I'm honest. I get disappointed with matches, but I'm never going into the match not giving it a chance or whatever.
There's a handful where I'm like, all right, here we go.
It's mostly, I'm not going to say what, but it's like mostly talking anyways. Like wrestling is a lot of interrupting and a lot of promos.
Let's get to another segment that was a lot of talk. The Miz and LA Knight. And every once in a while, the WWE gives someone to the Miz and they say something to this effect. I'm guessing, guys. I don't know. You need to challenge this guy. You need to challenge him on the mic, call him out, make him work for it. And let's see what he's got. We like what we're seeing so far, but we're going to give you a story with him. And let's see if he can hang with you. A good example would be him and Bryan Danielson, where they did a Smack Talk episode, which was like the show after the show. And Miz cut that famous promo on Bryan Danielson. I've been here and I came through the ranks and da-da-da. And everybody was like, holy cow, Miz can talk. Like, yeah, jerks. He's been able to talk this whole time. He just has been written for and not writing for himself. Whereas now I think they give him a lot more freedom, or he got more comfortable with written stuff. But every once in a while, they hand him one of these guys, and you're going to see if they can hang. And I'll be honest, when LA Knight came out, I was so nervous that he wasn't going to be able to hang on the mic with the Miz, because he's good at his own thing, right? But I've seen him struggle in commentary. Like commentary was not his strong suit when he like sat in the chair next to the table. I remember not liking him as much, and his message didn't get communicated as well. And it's hard because it's a match going on. But so I was a little bit nervous, like, oh, crap. And then Miz started going hard. I've been in this industry 20 years. I've done this. I've accomplished this. I'm a 2-time Grand Slam. They hated me. They threw me out of the locker room. And he does that speech that he just knows back to front, right? And he kills it. And I'm like, oh, crap. And let me tell you what LA Knight did. The Miz is moving 110 miles an hour, like a dude party in Miami in 1985. Just full rager, just in your face. And the natural instinct and reaction, and I know this for a fact from acting class, is a lot of times immature actors or inexperienced actors want to match that energy, and they quickly have nowhere to go. It's like if you start a song at too high a note, and like the Star Spangled Banner, and you know right away, oh shit, I should have started lower. That's what happens in these types of promos. And we've seen this happen a million times. Look at any promo that anyone ever had against Scott Steiner, and they're guilty of trying to match his energy. That's why you don't remember the guys that were in the promos with Scott Steiner. So I'm super nervous. And LA Knight does this thing that my acting coach taught us, where he said, look, if you're in an audition with someone, like a duo audition where they're checking chemistry, and someone's energy is super high and super fast, you have to do the exact opposite. You have to balance that scale. So if they're talking a mile a minute and it's your turn, and all of a sudden it's your turn to talk, you have to command their attention. And he flipped the whole script on like all us young actors, because, you know, our egos wanted to be like, no, I'm going to man up because he's manning up. And he's like, no, you got to like Christopher Walken man up. Like when I say ho, I mean ho. Not hey, like that's from Biloxi Blues. But in the play, it's like the sergeant's like, when I say ho, I mean ho. Not hey, not high, but ho. And Christopher Walken's like, nah, I'm not doing it. That bullshit. I've got my own rhythm.
Taking it down.
And so LA Knight just completely slows the speed of this whole promo down and very deliberately and absolutely effectively communicates who he is, what he's about, and what he's willing to do to get to where he wants to go. And that The Miz is going to be a stepping stone. A stepping stone? Don't you dare call me a stepping stone. I've done all this stuff. Let me tell you why you're a stepping stone. And I'm not talking about those ones between your legs. Boom, the crowd goes crazy for that because he's got tiny balls. My son wants a I have massive balls t-shirt, by the way. He's 10. I'm like, you can't wear that shit to school.
Can't wear it to work. You can't wear it to school. I mean, yeah.
Gets sent home. He's like, well, I'll just wear it around the house. So like, all right, I'm going to get you my balls are massive shirt. Great. Sarah will be thrilled. But yeah, man, these two guys go back and forth on the mic. LA Knight goes toe to toe. Miz talks about him not being on his level, and his response was great. He's like, well, from my perspective, we're standing eye to eye, and just stares right at him. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. And then the Miz is like, yeah, okay, takes off his jacket and then starts to like act like he's not going to fight. And then when LA Knight turns around, he throws the jacket over LA Knight's head. Not perfectly, but we get the idea. And he starts whipping ass all over LA Knight and picks him up for the skull crushing finale. And LA Knight says, no, F you, whop, swip, swap, and reverses it. And boom, puts the blunt force. That's the sound effect. Like, I always wanted to be a Foley artist.
I love
the guys that like would crack celery, like for a fight scene in the movies and all that. I always wanted to be one of those guys. So comic book sound effects are always going to pop out of my mouth. And he hits him with the blunt force trauma. And then he shakes his damn hand and says, it's nice to meet you. And then whatever else, you son of a bitch, Miz, I'll kill you. I don't think that's what he said. But I loved this segment so much. I loved everything about it. I was super, super nervous, and it went beyond my expectations. Did you like it, or was it a meh for you? Because I loved it. I know you're not huge on Miz, but so I know you respect him a little.
I hate The Miz. I do not like The Miz, and I love LA Knight, so I was excited for this. But I can also not like The Miz and acknowledge that he's become great. He's become a great part of wrestling. He's become a great on the mic. He is great, whether I like him or not. That being said, I don't like him. This is the first time I've ever wished that I wrote for wrestling. I was like, God, why couldn't you have had me there to write for this? Because The Miz says, to me, all you are is an Attitude Era fanboy who is cosplaying in my ring. And you know what's funny about that? I'll take that if, The Rock said it. Or if the Roman Reigns said it. But are we is Mike the Miz from Real World forgetting that he's an Attitude Era fanboy who cosplayed for, however long parading on MTV until they gave him like a contract over at MTV? You don't get to call him that. Also, guess who is an Attitude Era fanboy? Me. You, all the fans, and we're all Attitude Era fanboys. So it was trash for him to use that. Yeah, and I wish that's what his response would have been. Oh, really, Miz? You think I'm an Attitude Era fanboy? That's what you are. Also, the cosplaying. Remember when the Miz pretended to be The Rock for every single thing that he did? He tried, and then he always matching kind of these other wrestlers doing the Daniel Bryan kicks. I mean, Miz doesn't know who he is now, and he's been in wrestling for 20-something years, let alone a guy who has climbed up the ranks like LA Knight. I like that he said, don't make this personal. And he goes, I take this personal. All right, you want to get personal?
Yeah, that was great.
Which I know is part of the script, but it was beautifully done.
It was.
And I think this was my moment of the week for sure, just because I'm so such a fan of LA Knight. But I just thought, what a weird thing to accuse him of. I did like that he called him a flash in the pan.
That's what the heel's supposed to do, is say bullshit that you can call him on. And I think Miz did that deliberately. And I think he tricked you. And I love when you get tricked. And I think that's was the whole, I love it. And I think he did it on purpose so that people would call him out on it. I think he's that slick with it. I really do.
I do like the flash in the pan thing. I like when someone says, yeah, they all love you now. But guess what? I've been in this business long enough to know how fast they'll forget about you. I mean, this LA Knight rise was an Austin Theory rise at one point. This was that we've seen these things. So Miz could be correct, but I hope he's wrong. I hope he's wrong, and I love LA Knight, so we'll see. But I thought that this whole little back and forth was phenomenal. I thought The Miz was great. I thought LA Knight was great. When it comes to promos, this might have been my moment of the week.
The main event was a triple threat. It was a cool match. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but Shinsuke did turn and hit Seth Rollins with the Kinshasa, and it was glorious. And he walked off like a rock star, an evil rock star, but a rock star just the same. And I hope they have an idea and a plan for him, because he doesn't get to beat Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins has the title. So I hope it's not just another build up toward a loss, but hopefully they can do something cool with him, because he's so much fun to watch. He's got such great energy. His music's so dope when he comes out to that freaking violin and all that crap. So yeah, I like him a lot, but the match was what it was, man. Let's go to AEW Wednesday Night Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with, I didn't think we would ever do a podcast about a Rob Van Dam match.
Yeah.
Dude, Rob Van Dam wrestled Jack Perry for the FTW championship. Rob Van Dam is 50 years old and was whipping ass out there. Looked awesome. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's 50, okay? So he didn't look like he was 25 years old. But I'm telling you, he looked great. I thought he looked great. There were a couple of shots that were pretty stiff, man, when Jack Perry was outside the ring and that flying
ones
leg.
From Jack Perry, too.
Yeah, but Rob Van Dam's thick and Jack's not. Rob could take it. But that when he did the rolling leg kick and hit him off the apron and Jack was on the ringside, dude, that leg hits so thick.
Yeah, it's tough.
I was like,
and he was blown up too. Like you could tell he was gassed, but he was just giving it full.
But he gave it 100%, man. But it was awesome, man. If you gave him like a 7-minute match once every 6 weeks, 2 months, and just with all storyline, and then it goes to a match, right? So it's just heat on him, and then you give him a match. Like he still has it, dude, and has it big time. I know he gassed out at the end, but Jack Perry kind of saved the finish there because it took him too long. So that's why it got reversed, because he took too long on the top rope readjusting. So story-wise, it looked like it was a part of the story thanks to Jack Perry on that. But I loved watching this match. It's not my match of the week, but it very well could have been, just for the nostalgia of it and the fact that the first 6 minutes of the match were super, super good. And that one kick was just crazy. It hit him so hard.
Well, jumping forward to SmackDown, which we'll talk about in a bit, about how Jey Uso, did he quit WWE? Is he gone? This is the same thing. This match is proof. Wrestlers do not retire. They do not leave. They only die. They Undertaker leaves his boots in the ring, and then all of a sudden he's back 7 months later. Undertaker is back in the ring doing matches. Tricked us all into thinking he'll never wrestle again, and we watched his last match. They can't help themselves. Ric Flair has a new wrestling match every 6 months. Rob Van Dam, we thought he was done. We thought he was out there selling pot on the internet. Nope. He's right back in the ring, looking good at 50 years old with Jack Perry. These
in a
wrestlers,
full split.
They might get fired and they're not good enough to wrestle anymore. But if they can, they will, and they do. And Rob Van Dam, I don't know if he's all elite, but he looked damn good in there. And I think that his persona and his kind of like shtick works still, and we're such big marks for him that I think that he could definitely be a personality in AEW and do a match every once in a while. Like he looked great. I would, he's aged, but like I thought he looked just as good as Jack Perry did. And
I look older than he does. He's got 3 years on me, man. I thought he looked amazing.
I love it.
I was like, but you got to be tough to be a wrestler. You kick me that hard on the chest, I'm gonna die. Oh, yeah. Adam Cole and MJF. I wanted to say something last week, but you weren't here, and so I bit my tongue, because I didn't have anyone to throw this off of. But I'm wondering if we've had this story all wrong. And if the end of this story is Adam Cole turning heel on Max. And after the segment last week, I feel like that's the direction it's going to go. And not because of the Roderick Strong stuff, which was really funny when he called him a bland bitch. And Roderick Strong was like, I am not a bland bitch.
Oh, I loved that.
That was great, dude. He's oversold the shit out of it, but in a good way.
It's also pretty comedic the way those guys came out and consoled him like he was a little boy. Like I thought that was very funny. He's like in his arms, like, my best friend just said a mean thing about me.
They called me a bland bitch.
My best friend's new best friend.
I love it. It's like an old 80s rom-com movie, and that's the issue
and I
they're
love the way
dealing
he
with.
goes, your creepy ex-girlfriend like jealousy, which I thought was a really funny line. I mean,
Yeah.
MJF is
And shout out to Roderick for playing this role, man, because a lot of guys don't have the ego to let themselves go like that. Go, I am not a bland bitch. That makes you sound more like a bland bitch. But anyway, they're talking about Ring of Honor tag team champions. And Adam Cole is selling him hard on, yo, man, we can do this. We would have 2 matches in one night at Wembley friggin' Stadium, which, by the way, they're going to outsell WWE's record there, which is going to be super duper wrestling bragging rights. I know that for a fact. That'll piss whoever's in charge off, especially Vince or whoever booked it under their watch. They'll be like, God damn, we got to go back. We got to do 90,000 now. But
if we don't get it, just lie about the numbers.
They've never done that, Jeff. How dare you? Blasphemy. So MJF selling him hard on the Ring of Honor tag team titles against these 2 dudes called Aussie Open, who I don't know much about. And he's selling him hard. And Max is like, dude, what are you talking about? Not 2 matches. He's like, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. The only reason, because him wanting to have these titles because he's never had them is bullshit, I think, storyline wise. I think he's doing it to tire Max out. I think you're going to see Max be the one that gets the beat down and Adam Cole be the heater that comes in and saves him so that he's hurt in the championship match, the main event at Wembley Stadium. I think Cole's going to be the one that turns or like leaves him in the middle of the match, just walks away and lets Aussie Open just beat his ass and hit him with their finisher and just leave him dead in the middle of the ring. And then he has to wrestle again. I think we've had it wrong. I don't think Max is going to be the one that turns because they've been showing us Max is going to turn in different ones where he's like, well, he was going to hit Adam Cole with the belt. And he's like, oh, but he's my new best friend. Oh, but after this guy, oh, I can't, I'm not going to do it. Let's hug it out. Let's hug it out. They've been selling us so hard on that I think they're going to swerve it, and it's going to be Adam Cole that turns on Max. Do you think my conspiracy theory has any merit?
Yeah, I could see them doing that because they're kind of selling us as the MJF is the hothead, you know. You want to have a promo off, you know, like they're kind of, but then they're also showing us this side of MJF that is like unusual to anything I remember ever seeing of him being like, that was my fault. That was my fault. Sorry. So they're also showing this other nice side of like, okay, all right, man. Sorry. I got out of hand. Go get your bro, you know, go comfort your boy, you know, like he was like, he lets him go. So you're seeing this nice side while also seeing the hothead side. So I could totally see Michael Cole being the one that
Adam Cole,
that turns on him. But Adam Cole. But here's the thing. Is it why would they want Adam Cole to be a heel? I think he's great the way he is.
I do too, but he was a damn good heel in NXT. And when he was off, that's when I pretty much stopped watching. And I will say this, the crowd does not care anymore. The crowd does not care.
Right.
They are with you or not. If you're a great heel, they will cheer you and every once in a while boo. Like Ricky Starks earned his first boos, but it took him taking a belt off of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at 70 and whipping him like a dog in the 50s. Like it was that's what it took for him to get boos. And there were still cheers when he was cutting his promo. They were still like, you know what?
Right.
You're still my guy, dude. So it's like MJF says, he goes, I may be a scumbag, but I'm your scumbag. Like he gets it more than anyone else. Like it's the audience is just different now. They know everything. They know everything, the fake stuff, the real stuff. So I think the wrestlers that are leaning into that are the ones that are getting the most over right now. That's what I think, Jeff.
I agree with that. But if you're going to make him a bad guy, might as well make him 2 bad guys that are still together.
Friday Night SmackDown, sir. The best storyline is the bloodline, but the storyline I want to talk about is the Santos Escobar one against Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Everything was lined up for Santos to get the title. And then all of a sudden last night, during an interview, he gets ambushed again, and he gets his leg smashed in a transport crate. Pow, right on his knee. Oh, my knee. And then everybody runs in. Oh, my God, your knee. And then they're going to have the match later, and he tapes up the bad knee, and he's limping, but he's going to wrestle, and he's already got a win on this guy, so he believes in himself. And then that son of a bitch, Austin Theory, runs out again. Chop block, pow, right to the back of the knee. And he's down. And Austin Theory goes into the middle of the ring and cuts a promo on the guy he just chop blocked, and is not going to wrestle. It's such a bitch move. It's just the ultimate heel bullshit. And Rey and the LWO come out. An official and Adam Pearce come out, and Adam Pearce has had enough of Austin Theory's nonsense. And Rey Mysterio's fuming, but clearly recovered from his whiplash that he suffered a few weeks ago. And Adam Pearce is like, "You gonna talk all that shit up there, Austin Theory? Well, guess what? You are gonna wrestle, and it's Rey Mysterio." And Rey takes off his vest and cruises down, slides into the ring, and starts whipping ass all over Austin Theory. Gets the win, does a really cool 619 to Theory's back. And you always know when a guy is going to lose a title is they sell an injury harder than they ever sell it when they're going to lose. And and that way they go, "Oh no, it's the back that did it." So he takes the 619 to the back, and he's like, "Oh, my back." And then he gets drop kicked into the ropes, right into the ropes. And then Rey hits him with another 619, and he drops on him, boom, and gets the 1, 2, 3. And now he's the United States champion. Now, what I thought originally a plan could be, when I thought LA Knight was on SmackDown, was to set LA Knight up to take the U.S. Championship off of Rey if you want to be a heel, or off of Austin Theory if you want to be a babyface. Then when Santos was going to get it, I was like, oh shit, they're giving Santos a push, and LA Knight, they're just putting wherever they want, and they just know that he's over, so they can just put him with The Miz, apparently. I didn't know they'd put him with The Miz. So I'm like, all right, cool. Santos is getting the push. That's this guy's money ever since they did that World Cup. That was when I got really hip to him, that Ricochet match he had, which was crazy. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then they do this. Now, this is one of two things. It was either on the day they changed it, and this was the fix that the boss gave, because it seems very old school to do it. So maybe something happened where they just believed in him all the way up until the moment and then said, no, let's back off, let's wait. Or this was the story all along, and they actually have a storyline for the LWO between Santos and Rey, and then they're figuring out, or already have figured out, whether he's going to turn on Rey, or if it's just going to be a mano-a-mano, let's see who the better man is, LWO for life. I don't know which way they're going to go. I think Santos plays a heel really well. Usually when he's been a heel in WWE, he's had a mouthpiece, which I don't think he needs. And I think the way to go, even though I love him and I want to see him a Latino as a babyface, but you're never going to be more babyface than Rey. So you might as well go the exact opposite direction and give him evil Santos Escobar. That's my theory, my working theory on the defeat of Austin Theory. And what do you think, sir?
I'm just confused on why they are. What's the point of injuring him? Like I don't get that choice. If it was,
yeah,
I don't see why you do that. If he's getting these pushes and it's working, I like Santos. I don't really understand what they're doing with that. Like, why injure his ankle? Like, why? Like, I don't get.
That's why I worry it was a day of decision, and that's why it was kind of crappy creative. That's what I'm worried about too. But I'm hopeful that it's storyline and just that part of the story's weak, and the next chapter in the book is an awesome chapter. Santos versus Rey.
I hope
That's
so too.
the hope.
As the fan club of the LWO over here at WWF, we love the LWO. That's our shit.
It's pronounced LWO.
Yeah. If you're gonna, phonetically, LWO.
All right, dude. Let's end the show on Jey Uso. He had a segment with Roman. Well, Roman had a segment that he interrupted. Jey, just his walkout is electric. like his eyes dart back and forth. The pacing is almost cat-like. His hands grabbing his face because his face is uncomfortable. He doesn't know if he wants to laugh or scream. Just the walkout, and he's over. It's crazy. I said this before. He'd be the worst poker player ever. Like, you know exactly what he's thinking. You'd be, oh, you have king, and it's a spade and a heart. Oh, I got you again. He goes into the ring, and it's game on. There's Solo and Roman and Paul Heyman, and then here comes Jimmy. And so the whole bloodline's back together. Yay! No, the bloodline is in a lot of trouble. Roman Reigns forced a laugh that you were making fun of me on the text chain.
Yes.
You were like, yo, Freddie's going to hate that forced laugh.
Freddie hates fake laughs, and this laugh was the fakest. It's like just terrible Roman Reigns laugh.
It was
Bad
a rough
acting.
one. It was a rough laugh. And I did cringe when I heard it. I was like, oh, he didn't think that was funny at all. But anyway, this story is between Jimmy.
Wait for it.
Oh no, you did not record the laugh.
What I tell you?
You did not record
What did I
it.
tell you that?
No, you didn't record it.
Yeah, a little bonus feature for the episode. No, but the segment was good, right? You liked it, or what'd you think?
I did. I really did, man. But the story was between Jimmy and Jey. And Jimmy tried to give an excuse. I don't know if it was written as well as it could have been or executed as well as it could have been, but he tried to give his excuse as to why. And his excuse was, it's not that I didn't want you to lose to him. I didn't want you to become him. And that's what would have happened if you would have won. And then what happens to us and everything that we've built? We exist together. It was that twins speech where they have that magic connection that makes us think all twins are weird, right? It's got to exist in that world, that promo. And I didn't know if it 100% did, but Jimmy did his best with what was written. And I thought got it across enough that Jey had enough to react to. And they left the camera either on a 2-shot or on Jey for most of it. And he just like, it's crazy just to watch him react. Like, you could just leave it on him the whole time and just listen to everybody else talk. And you wouldn't change the channel or get bored or even feel uncomfortable. And he says, basically, look, I know how you feel. If you want to kick me in the face, kick me in the face. And he stands there and Jey won't do it. And he clears the ring. And then Jey just starts whipping ass on everybody. Wah-bah! Super kick to you. Solo Sikoa, you get some of this. He's like, no, you're going to get some of this. Wah-bah! Gets his ass, beats up everybody. It takes a super punch right to the face. Blam! He goes down. Roman Reigns is pissed off. Jey's not done yet. He gets back up again. Wah-bah! Wah-bah! He's whipping everybody's ass. Gets out of the ring. His brother's walking away, and he looks at his brother. He's like, where are you going? And Jimmy's like, what? He's like, where are you going? He's like, what, man? What? And he's got his arms kind of out a little bit. And he's like, oh, okay. And the brothers start running towards each other. They're going to hug because Jey's forgiven him. No, he hasn't. Wah-bah! Super kick right to your face, too. And then to the camera mic, not on the ring microphone where the audience can hear him, he says, that's it. I'm out the bloodline. I'm out of SmackDown. I'm out the WWE. Deuces. And he just goes out through the crowd. And it was such a wicked exit, man. I loved it so much. I got to assume you loved this segment, right?
Yeah, the segment's good, but what I can't understand or get my head around is, well, I guess I do understand it. I know what they're doing, and it's great, and it's good TV, and we like it. It's good. It works. But they're doing the whole, like, Lord of the Rings, like to be tribal chief, like the power corrupts, like the responsibility of being the tribal chief it seduces you, the power of it. And I didn't want you to get that because you'd become exactly what Romans become and all this different stuff. But like, are we missing a real opportunity here to show how badass the bloodline is? Like, why does all of the conflicts come from within? Why can't we be making the bloodline this badass faction and this badass like stable that just kicks ass and takes his names? Instead, it's just them bickering internally. Feels like a Real Housewives of WWE situation
of Calgary.
It's just such oh, but you said this and I want this and I want to wear the necklace and it's like just go out and beat some asses that aren't in the bloodline. get your shit together and be the guys that are badass. Instead, it's like week after week of but I'm your brother and he's the leader and I want to be the leader. I just like, I like it. It's fine. But I think that they're really missing an opportunity. They're going to break up before we ever saw how powerful they could be.
Jeff,
is my opinion.
Tell the people, are you going to be in Atlanta this weekend? Are you going to perform this weekend? Or when you're working, you don't perform?
Oh, no, every night I've been at the Laughing Skull. So if you want to see me 7 nights a week, I'm at the Laughing Skull in Midtown in Atlanta. They've been very nice to me. I just show up and they go, yeah, anytime you want to go on. I'm going to be at a Braves game.
Are you throwing?
I don't have it scheduled yet, but it's looking like it's shaping up. So I'll be either at a Braves game or a Laughing Skull if you want to see me.
All right. And all you Atlanta Braves fans that listen, I know a lot of wrestling fans in Atlanta. Hit him up on social media. Tell him Jeff Dye needs to throw out the first pitch. Help us out with that. Yeah. Jeff's already thrown at like 500 ballparks out of 1,000, so let him get all 1,000. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned Thursday for Unsanctioned Thursdays with me and Jeff Jackpot Dye, and we'll give you guys a little collision love and talk about whatever else happens on behalf of the greatest co-host ever. I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. This is Wrestling with Friends. Peace.
We out. Follow us on Instagram, Wrestling with Freddie. Twitter is WWFreddie Pod. Follow us on all the socials so you can submit your questions for the Federation.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.